So today we are really excited to be here with all of you today. This project has been quite a while in the making, to say the least. Construction's been going on since 2014, planning many years before that. This is a very important bridge in Santa Barbara's infrastructure. And as you can see, we positioned it this way so you can just see how big this bridge actually is. It runs on a diagonal here over Mission Creek. It was actually 3 bridges built over different periods of time. The first one was built in about 1913. And the interesting part about those 3 bridges is they were never quite built together. So the supports underneath were all different places. And what that meant is that the water flow in the creek was not as great as it could be. That's all been fixed with this new bridge, in addition to a whole slew of other improvements that we're going to have some people detail out for you here today. But we're really excited because this is a big, critical piece of Santa Barbara's infrastructure. And to give us a little bit about how it fits into the Lower State Street improvements, our city administrator, Paul Casey, is going to say a few words about that.
That was Kirsten Ayers, who did a very great job throughout the project on public outreach and communication and information. So congratulations, Kirsten, on that. Very good. Before I get started, always important and appropriate to introduce the elected officials standing behind me. We have Mayor Schneider is here. Randy Rouse, council member, Councilmember Bendy White, and Jason Dominguez, council members. So thank them for coming. I just briefly want to mention how important this project is and how important it tied into all the different improvements that have happened down here. There's been a multiple decades long planning vision for this part of town. Stearns Wharf, the furthest Stearns Wharf, is one of the most visited areas in our city. There's been a vision for decades, like I said, about creating a T-bone of linking downtown through State Street to the waterfront, and this bridge is kind of right at the epicenter of that. There was no good time to replace this bridge. It's an extremely complicated project to replace a bridge over Cabrillo Boulevard at the busiest intersection in town. So congratulations to the engineers and the construction team to work on the logistics of that. And just look at some of the pedestrian improvements that we have now. If you were here prior to the bridge, there was really no sidewalk across the street. Again, at one of the at the epicenters of activity in our city. And so the improvements that we have, not only to the bridge, but the pedestrian and biking amenities is great. And it's also been a catalyst because of great planning that we coordinated all the local projects to occur at the same time in this area. In hindsight, it actually worked out pretty well. We had 2 years of a lot of construction. Thank you to the business and merchants who suffered through that. But we have Hotel California opening up in just a matter of weeks, a spectacular project that's looking fantastic. The Romosana family is doing another addition to the Harbor View Hotel at the corner of State and Mason, so that's going to come along quickly. The Castagnola property here is going to have a new restaurant in and pulled back off of the creek a little bit, so that's an improvement. Moxie, if you haven't been to the Children's Museum, it is spectacular. It's on city land. We donated that land for $1 a year. The community raised money for that museum. That's on board as well. Rusty's Pizza has moved just up the street to the old Bebop Burger site. So it's all coming together. We also completed another public improvement, the Mason Street Bridge. A little more quietly done, but also important right there off of Mission Creek. So all those improvements together, they're coming undone. We're ripping the Band-Aid off. We're clean. We're ready to go down here. And we've got more work to do. State Street improvements, connection to downtown underneath the freeway to connect the vitality of down here with the vitality of State Street and the downtown area as well. We look forward to improvements on that as well. So thank you. Thank you to all the staff and people who worked on this. And at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Mayor Helene Schneider.
Thank you. We hear a lot about the need for infrastructure and upgrades of facilities, not just here in Santa Barbara, but throughout our country. And so when a project like this comes together, it's very exciting to see all the partners who came together to make it happen. This is one of many, many projects that we know the city needs in our aging and built-out city, and so and it was a long time in coming. I know there were delays and there were changes in plans, but it took a while, but here we are. And I think just imagine, if you can remember just a mere 12 months ago, what this area looked like, and Paul just examining and describing all the different improvements happening here in the waterfront area and Lower State Street, and it's just blossoming now, and it's going to be just absolutely fantastic. So to have this new bridge that replaced a bridge that was over 100 years old. It was timely, it was necessary, and really very helpful. And so thank you to everyone who was involved. It was a really great use of federal and city funds together. So actually the city, the feds paid $26 million, it was a $26 million project, and federal highway bridge money was 88.53% of that. So we still needed the matching funds. You still had to find a way to find that matching funds, but wow, what kind of leverage those small amount of funds was able to leverage big federal funds coming in. And we look to that every chance we get, and certainly the whole area along Lower Mission Creek and all those bridge replacements that we've been seeing has benefited from that program. Really, again, I want to echo Paul and thank the community members, the businesses for going through this process. I know it was a lot to handle, especially trying to keep one traffic lane open, which may have extended the life of the construction time, but it was necessary to keep that circulation going. Really want to thank the Stearns Wharf Business Association, all the businesses on Helena Avenue and the Lower State Street, the Arts and Crafts Show that really had to remind people to navigate around this to go see this spectacular show on Sunday. I encourage you to, if you haven't been to see them in a while, to go and always look at their amazing wares, and even the holidays will come up before you know it. So it's a great place there. What a great example of using local talent here as well. It's not just bringing people from the outside. These are jobs that happened here, that are based here, both within our city, but also in the private sector as well. I want to thank our project planners, which include Caltrans. And if anyone's from these organizations, please raise your hand so we can acknowledge you. So people from Caltrans, I heard the invoices were just starting right from the beginning, and you remembered when that first happened, your first invoice from Caltrans making it happen. We have Lash Construction here, Bengal Engineering. I know Bengal is right behind me here. M&S Engineers, Ayers and Associates, which you heard from Kristen, David Black and Associates. You can also see, and Cardno. And obviously it's not just the bridge, it's making it look gorgeous. The detail around here, the landscaping behind us, it's all part of that big picture. And you know, you think about, this is a very calm day today, but sometimes, as we know through the storm surges that happened recently, in the winter we get these surges, and Lower Mission Creek in this area can be very busy. And so, like a bridge over troubled water, I'm here to ease your mind and make sure you know that this bridge is here to stay, and it's and it became possible because of so many people working together in coordination and collaboration. So I'm looking forward to seeing this whole area just kind of have a renaissance of Lower State Street and people enjoying it, and thank you all for making that happen. So to get the details of this project as well, I really want to acknowledge, thank, and welcome to the podium Adam Hendel, who's the principal engineer of the project. Adam.
Good morning, everybody. Just looking around here, I see so many faces that have worked on this project over the years, from the numerous city staff that have been involved from all departments. It took really the whole city to complete this project, and a lot of you city staff here were involved in this project in some way or form. So I wanted to thank you all, and then also wanted to thank all the consultants and project partners that have helped deliver this project with me as a project manager over the last, I think, about 4 or 5 years. There have been other project managers on this project, and I'm happy to help finish this project for the city. So I just wanted to go over a couple of the technical aspects of this project, some of the improvements that other speakers have mentioned earlier. In addition to replacing this 100-year-old bridge that was really structurally deficient, it was falling apart, we were able to make some improvements, and so I wanted to go over what those improvements are. So on the north side, or the upstream side of the project, the sidewalks on the north side were very deficient. They were 4 feet wide. There was an old chain link fence installed there that led to what used to be a gas station out there. So we were able to widen that sidewalk to 9 feet so that it's more usable by the public. Also on the north side of the bridge, we completed the removal of the old wood retaining walls that were left over from 100 years ago when there was a platform over the top of Mission Creek. So we completed the removal of that old platform. That helps with flood control, that helps with restoring the creek. And I just wanted to tell a little story of a photograph that I saw from 1914 on the north side of the bridge, from the Great Storm of 1914, which was about a 100-year storm event. There was a photo of city staff and probably members of the public trying to keep debris from getting clogged in this bridge. And so with this project, we were able to help that potential for debris blockage by aligning the piles in one row. As Kirsten mentioned earlier, the bridge that was here before was built in 3 phases, and the piles didn't all quite align right, so we were able to fix that with this bridge. Also on the upstream side of the project, the old wood retaining walls were replaced with a faux sandstone wall that's more traditional for the Santa Barbara area. So that highlights some of the improvements that we did on the north side of the bridge. Over here on the south side of the bridge, you guys are standing on either what we call the sidewalk or over here, which is the beachway. The sidewalk is much wider than it was before. This area gets heavily used on weekends, and so with this bridge replacement, we were able to widen the sidewalks. And then the beachway over here, some of you may remember an old metal grating that was here that created some issues for bikers and rollerbladers. That was there because there was and is a high pressure gas line there. And as part of this project, we were able to widen the beachway, but also make it one nice smooth surface for beachway users. I'd also like to point out some of the creek restoration work we've done downstream here, both as part of the bridge project and then also as mitigation for the Lower Mission Creek flood control, which is a partner project with the County Flood Control District staff who are here today. And so that all ties in nicely with the improvements we've done downstream, as well as a completely resodded park area. And so with that, I'd like to pass it on to one of the business owners that was involved in this project and is also the president of the Stearns Wharf Merchants Association, Neil Bruskin. Thank you.
There were 10 major construction projects going on all in this area. It was quite the scene. You know, it usually takes 10 years to get approval for one project, and we had 11 projects going all at once. And the good news is they're just about all done, and we'll get back to business. As someone who has literally been watching this bridge replacement for more than 2 years, I'd like to thank everybody involved for balancing the needs of the community, providing a safer bridge, improving the walkways, improving the entrance to the wharf, and enhancing Mission Creek. As the owner of several businesses on the wharf, you know, myself and all the Stearns Wharf merchants were happy to receive regular project updates on the bridge. The updates were helpful in our daily operations and our event planning. We needed to make sure everyone could had access to the wharf. You know, from today's vantage point, we can see the new bridge and wider walkways. Downstream of the bridge, there are native plantings on both sides. Gone are the old timbers and the concrete sacks that were falling into the creek. It's harder to see under the water, but there are habitats for sea life that went in along with the new bridge. We also have a right turn lane coming off the wharf, so I'd like to thank Adam and the City of Santa Barbara for that. We can actually get off the wharf a little easier now. This bridge marks an area between the beach and urban development. It's a good mix of balancing the needs of both, with more native plantings along the creek and the sandstone finished walls upstream. This is a highly traveled area of Santa Barbara, and this project makes it better for all to visit. Along with those 11 construction projects we've been mentioning, you know, Lower State Street is undergoing an incredible revitalization. We hope the locals and the visitors alike will find it easier than ever to visit the wharf and all the businesses. I encourage everyone to come down and see how nicely these projects fit together and make it easier to walk with your families. So thank you for coming out. I'd like to turn this over to Luke Swetland. He's the president of the Santa Barbara Museum of Natural History and the Sea Center, also a member of the Stearns Wharf Business Association.
Well, good morning. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I'm the last speaker, so my job is to kind of touch upon some of the points that have already been made and amplify them, and I'm very aware that I'm the only thing standing between you all and the cookies. So one of the project components that we really appreciated at the museum and the Sea Center was the inclusion of habitat enhancements for the tidewater gobies and the steelhead trout. The new creek bank walls have grooves and ledges that provides great cover for the gobies, and the boulders are positioned in the creek in such a way as it provides great resting areas for the migrating steelhead. It was heartening to know that biologists were on site throughout the entire project, ensuring that all the wildlife that lives in this riparian ecosystem was protected. Downstream, it'll be interesting to see how these new plantings hold up. This is critical habitat, but this is the area where we get tides coming in and out and storm surges. So it's going to be tough to really get those plantings established, so we'll all be keeping an eye on that over the next few years. And I think we're all thankful that a whole lot of trash got pulled out of the creek as part of this project. Thank you, City of Santa Barbara. Living on the coast, it's our hope that we all learn more about sea life. Yes, by visiting places like the museum and the Sea Center, of course. But you know, significant public works projects like this provide great opportunities for the public to learn about the importance of restoring native habitats for the benefit of all of us critters that live in the creek or alongside of it. I do want to say that at the Sea Center, we truly appreciated the consistent and informative updates we received every step of the way from the project team. That helped us know what was going on, and we passed that information on to our visitors as they were leaving the wharf. And so we'd like to thank everyone involved for replacing a critical piece of Santa Barbara's infrastructure, for improving habitat areas, and for being such great neighbors, working together for the greater good. So Kirsten, I'll turn it back to you so you can cut the ribbon.
So I'm actually going to let, of course, the mayor cut the ribbon. 1, 2,